This time I'm going to be trying to use this deck that is made entirely by blue Devoid cards. This is inspired by our friend Carefree Coding. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the description. Well, he has tried to do decks with similar rulings with Devoid green, Devoid black, and Devoid red. And he told me that he tried by without showcasing in his channel blue Devoid, but he was having serious problems with that. So I wanted to give it a try to see how it goes. So far, trying against some opponents, I have been uh, I had some fun and I achieve easy victories, but mostly because the opponent weren't doing too much against this deck. So one of the key aspects is that some of the cards have activated abilities that requires colorless, so we need some colorless lands to make those useful. So we have a basic Wastes card and 2 copies of Runes of Oran Reef and 2 Rogue's Passage. Also, we are running Warped Landscape that can be used to fetch for a basic land. So in the worst case scenario, when we need a blue that we don't currently have, we can use this effect to grab it, and this has the added advantage that enters the battlefield untapped, so we can pay right away. And also Crumbling Vestige, that in the turn it enters, it can generate mana of any color, and afterwards it's going to be generating colorless. And also Skyline Cascade to give us a bit of control on the opponent creatures. So if we target an tapped creature, it won't untap on next step. So the one of the key of the deck is to have some processor effects. So if we remove cards from exile into the graveyard of our opponent, some cards are going to be having a very powerful effect. In particular, Yulamox Reclaimer is one of my favorites because it can be used to return an instant or sorcery from the graveyard. So in other decks, this can shine because you can do that rotation multiple times. I think I have shown that sometime, but if you can play Yulamox Reclaimer several times in a row, you are going to be returning all your cards back to your hand, and you can then cast them again, and so on and so on. Also, for this to be possible, we need to have some exiling effects. So we are running Spell Shrivel, counter spell that can exile the target, and some cards that have the ingest property. So whenever the creature deals damage, it is going to exile a top card of the library. Well, some other few creatures. So we have the Tiny Prophet of Distortion. It's a 1 mana drop, but I have tried this before and I found that the strength of the card is that it allows you to draw, but it's quite slow. So just 1 copy. Salvage Town. When it dies, it can we choose to draw a card, and if we do, we discard. Maybe helpful if we discard something that afterwards we want to return with Yulamok Reclaimer. So slip through space. Target creature cannot be blocked. Dimensional Infiltrator. This one, I think that if we get this with enough mana, can be used to mill extra cards from our opponent. It has flash. It's kind of powerful, even without the colorless. It's very powerful. Anyways, 1 Tide Drifter to power up all our colorless creatures, giving them +0/+1. Blighting Drum. This is going to help us control the opponent creatures. It's 2 mana for 1/3. It's a good defender, but to activate the ability it has to be on the board for one turn, so it won't have summon and sickness, so it has to be drawn earlier to be useful. So Mist Infiltrator, one of the most powerful flyers over here, because it is costing just 2 mana and it has ingest, so an early flyer that can exile a lot of cards. Well, that's it. So for the final game, we have Deep Fathom Skulker that if we manage to use the effect, whenever a creature we control deals combat, you might draw. That can refill our hand pretty quickly, especially since Benthic Infiltrator cannot be blocked, and we also have run this Slip Through Space. Also, we have Rogue's Passage, so that allows us to draw quite a few cards if we happen to sustain the Deep Fathom Skulker alive. So let's try to see how does it fare against some actual deck. Let's hope we get an interesting game. The deck as it is not particularly strong, but I suppose it's fun to play. Here I foresee an opponent that is going to have red spells, most likely blue or white too. So let's see what happens next. So we here are tight on mana, but otherwise we have a double 2 drops, but we have to wait to turn 3 to play this, and then we're kind of limited. We need to draw another land, but some network problem has transformed our opponent into a robot, so we are against machines now. So let's start by playing. In this case there is not quite much of a difference between these two. Which one do we want to play, unless we draw into one of our untapped colorless lands, but the chance of drawing an untapped color land is higher. Here it is. So we drop the island, and mind you that it's tempting to wait for some time to enable the activation of Rings of Oran Reef, placing a counter on our creatures, but I think that it's too greedy to play that, so we are going to drop a creature. If we want to wait for that, we have to play another land that currently we have a tapped land. This is going to enter the tapped, and we have no profitable target for it, and right then after that we could eventually use the Oran Reef. So the opponent's deck appears to have Werewolf, so for the time being this one is not posing a threat. It won't transform if we cast something, and it cannot attack unless the opponent has a 4 power creature. So we have Dimensional Infiltrator here, we have Skylight Cascade. Well, the safest play, I think, that is going to be first attacking here. Let's see, we get some information, because when the Mist Intruder ingests, it's going to exile the top card, and that kind of lets us know what the opponent is trying to do. So another man time. Now we want to play something, because otherwise this Lamphold Pacifist is going to transform into the Lamphold Butcher and attack us for 4 damage. So we have currently two cards that, or what, actually 3 cards that we can use. So I'm going to waste the Skyline Cascade Yeah, so Lamphold Pacifist won't be able to untap, but since it is already untapped, it doesn't happen. It does not happen. But we prevent the transformation into the 4/4. So here comes a Hungry Garrison that is very powerful new card that is going to be hitting us pretty hard because whenever it attacks it places two 1/1 tokens attacking. So I think that we would like to have this tapped using the blinding drone. We are going to spend one colorless mana. That leaves us with just two remaining mana to use. We could slip through space to draw an extra card. Also, well, we can, if we play the Sky Spawner, we get a token that we can sacrifice to gain the mana that we need to activate the blinding drone. So let's go ahead and attack once again. So 1 point of damage, one exiled card. And here comes, yes, let's do that. A 2/1 flyer and a 1/1 that can produce a colorless mana for us. So also other option is not to tap the Hunger Garrison and ambush him with two blockers. That could be important to do. Let's see. I think that the ambush might be better for us since we have. Okay, here comes. The problem with the ambush is that our opponent might have some pump up to ruin our plans. So here I think I will risk it by blocking with all our creatures and try to avoid. Okay, so no pump up, no tricks, and a silver full partisan. So we lost our Scion token doing that. Let's see. Well, we are short on mana, so what to do? What to do? So, I want to wait to have Stock Harvester on play to do more of our milling and ingesting. So whenever we cast a colorless spell, target opponent is going to exile top card of his library. But otherwise, the situation here is kind of complicated, so let's slip through space and let's hope we get a land. Well done. So we now have 4 mana for the next turn, and this turn we can drop one of our big guys. This 1/4 can block the 2/2. So let's attack with the Mist Intruder. So of course, why not slip through space the blinding drone? Well, because I need this untapped in case we need to activate the ability. We don't want to tap this. So now if we play the Dimensional Infiltrator, so let's see. Yeah. I think that we want to be a little bit greedy by playing this by the end of our opponent's turn. This has flash, so we can play it at instant speed, and we have enough mana to place a counter over there. So let's see how the attacks proceeds here. So now the lamphold is able to attack us, so I'm going to take the 3 damage. Of course, we could have killed it, but we are on the aggression this moment. So we have 4 damage in the air and a counter spell. So what's best for us? So let's proceed to attack. I think I want to Sky Spawner here to gain more power in the air. So we enhance this. We have 2/3/2 flyers, and this time I think it's necessary to tap the Gear Chieftain. Let's see what happens now. Prey upon target creature you control fights target creature you do not control. Let's see what happens here. So this 3/3 is fighting this 1/2, and also it triggers the apparition of a 2/2 wolf token. Here it is. Let's see if... Oh no, Fiery Impulse is going to remove... Oh no, our beautiful Rosy Sky Spawner is gone. So in response, I'm going to tap the 4/4 Gear Chieftain. And we are taking a bunch of damage now. So the aggression is real, plenty of removal for us. Now we can use the Morg Strider here to bounce one of the opponent creatures, but which one? I think that it would be wise to make the Gear Chieftain return to the hand of our opponent. So you can have a forest in the graveyard, I don't mind. I'm not going to attack. Now we need the blockers because our life total is too low now. Let's see, here comes again Monkey. This lets the humble pacifist attacking. Now we want to trade if possible. So here we are going to prevent 2 and we want to trade and trade. Too bad we didn't get to use this ability, but the situation here is pretty darn complicated. So land is good for us. So let's see. I think that we need to pump up the Basic Infiltrator. We are giving it a +1/+1 counter. So the problem I think that I should have foreseen that we currently are not using colorless mana, so that's a bit of a problem. Of we could have chosen to tap differently, so now we have a very dull blue mana that we are not going to use, but our 1/3 blocker is gone. Now We are receiving quite a punch here. Uh, yes, so I think that this turn we can survive, but next time I think that we are done for, because the Killer Chieftain could potentially pay 5 to give +2/+2, and oh no, even worse here, we died this turn. We no matter how hard we block, we would have lost. So maybe if the mana tapping would have, if we had some colorless mana to tap the enemy, maybe we can have survived. That is quite unlikely. So because the exquisite firecraft could have gone to directly to our face. So a lot of removal has done our deck suffer quite a bunch. So let's see if this time we can survive. So here the lands are too limited. We have a turn 1 play, but nothing else. So we have to withdraw. So this is difficult to keep because we kind of don't have the blue. There is a aggressive white opener there, so good thing we have drawn into one island. So this Prophet of Distortion is going to have to block, or at least is going to stop the opponent from freely attacking with his Expedition Envoy. Kind of trades one by one. I don't expect this to be activated anytime soon. So here comes the Kingsvale Skirmisher, giving +1/+1 until end of turn to his creature, and I think that blocking here would be quite bad. So regrettably we take 3 damage and proceed into our turn. We can drop the Blinding Drone. Here we go. I think having a 1/3 body is going to be, at least is going to buy us some time. But in my experience, this white opening is going to be followed up by some enchantment over one of these, probably Nimbus Wings, or maybe something else, but let's see, maybe even other one of these little guys. Let's see what happens next. So we have to be prepared to take, okay, my prediction has become fulfilled, so we are going to take at least 3. So this is kind of a race now. The way to win at this point is going to be either by having much more creatures attacking than the opponent. So here the most aggressive play for us could be the Drowsy Sky Spawner, placing 3 attacking power on the battlefield, and next turn we have 2 drops. So let's go and attack, or no, I'm forgetting about the activated ability. So let's attack with our 1/2. If he trades, I'm happy. So let's see. Confirm attack, of course, something strange with the network there. And the trade happens, and well, I was not taking into account the activation of this, so this time I think that we can even make our opponent think we have a counter spell on hand, although we don't really have one. So let's see, a 2/2 ally, and I'm going to tap the flyer, so we prevent this attack. And well, the right play would have been to drop this by the end of the opponent's turn, but instead the game didn't let me to do nothing, so I'm quite of sad about that. So that's quite unfortunately unfortunate. Well, yeah. So let's go Benfica Infiltrator, and we have been slowed down. So that's I'm a bit sad about that. So this opens a window for the opponent to overrun us. So let's hope that we still don't get too punished for that mistake. Here comes a premium flyer. We are going to keep this 3/1 tapped all day long. This Sky Hunter Skirmisher is a 1/1 with double strike. It's very hard to stop. So this time we are going to start by attacking with the Benthic Infiltrator. And we are going to drop the Mist Intruder. This is forcing the opponent to hold back his Sky Hunter Skirmisher unless he places some pump up on it. That there are plenty of instants in white that could do that. So, but instead is an equipment that is a very powerful one, +1/+1 and haste. So here, if we are going to tap one of the creatures, it should be the Skirmisher, that otherwise can hit us for 4 damage. Now, question is 2, we receive 5, so we are going to skip blocking and drop the Dimensional Infiltrator. So currently all the opponent creatures are tapped and we have drawn into a counter spell. So I think that we have to try to take the initiative and get a hold of some leading. We have to start applying pressure. The good thing is that the opponent is getting his hand with less and less cards. Here we exile. Well, good thing the opponent didn't draw that. So if we play the Sky Spawner, we have 2 new blockers and 1 extra mana in case we need to activate, and also the Spell Shrivel to counter something unless the opponent pays 4 mana. But unless he draws 1 land, it's not going to happen. So here this is going to give vigilance to the creatures. So we want to tap this one. Okay, this one gets tapped. Strike harness. Now this has 3-4 and haste. So let's see. And also they have all first strike, so we cannot kill any of those. So let's prevent the damage. So kind of some options didn't. Okay. Oh, like, come on. We could have made quite a few plays that were more profitable for us. Now we have this on hand. We can't do much now. So I think that last turn we should have used the Spell Shrivel on the creature that entered, but now we are about to lose. We can try to hold one extra turn, but it's not going to be too easy, and even to make a comeback it's going to be hard, especially since our opponent has haste given Beaver Strider Harness. It's very good. Nimbus Wings, we have to counter that, and we are going to tap what? Strider Harness, and we tap the bird. The bird is now tapped. Of course, the opponent can choose to place the. Now what? We can afford to get a hit, so we're going to drop the intruder here. It has flash, and we are going to block here. Yes. Okay, here and here. We take 3. We kill 1. We trade 1 for 1 and prevent 2. But our hand is nearly empty. Our board is suffering quite a lot, and we have drawn into another land that we cannot use. So next turn we have to sacrifice our creatures, and even our opponent, if he plays another creature, he can give said creature haste. So a dire situation for this deck. I don't think we can survive, but we should not give up. We don't know what's going to happen. We could. So, okay. Now, problem here is that we want to pay attention to the game and activate the blinded drone. So, I think that was a fatal mistake. We take 3. So now we are pretty much doomed. The opponent is not playing anything on 4. That's quite emotional. We counter yet another flyer. do you mean we cannot pay that? So yet another bit of a tiny bit of hope in the form of adverse condition, that is a very precise description of what's going on with us. So let's skip the attack. We continue. And let's see. We have to stop the game right before it enters the attack zone. We are going to tap the flyer, and we are also going to tap these two. We gain another blocker, but is not helping us with the flyers. So that being said, maybe we should try to activate the landscape. Yeah, give the bird, press F2. The thing that we would love to have in the deck is some form of board clear, but in this deck it does not exist. So, well, we have a second blinding drone, but it's going to enter the battlefield with Summoning Sickness, so we cannot activate its ability. So, just as a farewell attack, we are going to send the Benthic Infiltrator to do 1 point of damage and the Blinding Drone into an skirmish against the Suntail Hawk. And we are going to exile yet another card, and it is a Plains. Well, okay, so the mistakes, we had to pay a very high price. So the adversary was playing quite an aggressive deck, and we could have stand a chance if it weren't by some tiny misplays that got amplified by the course of the game. So a missed creature drop did quite a devastating impact. So let's try once again the deck, and of course the struggle is real. So I think that the name for this deck should be something along the lines of the sky or the atmosphere, because well, the sky is blue, but the air is transparent, it has no color, so a blue Devoid sounds about right. So let's see if against our next opponent we have better luck, and most important of all, we have to play with great accuracy, because the deck is not that good. We cannot afford to make mistakes. We need to do the proper plays at all times. But by the looks of the spinning wheel of the game client, I think we are having network problems. I don't know. Let's hope we can reconnect here. So maybe is my internet connection failing? What's going on? Come on. Come on. We want to lose or win, but at least we want to play. Come on. My mouse pointer is going to catch you. Come on. I'm right behind you. Come on, join in session. Well, let's do the regressive count from 10 to 0. call it the, oh, come on, 10, 9, 8. Okay, apparently we scared the game client, and he decided to listen to our threats, and now he has found an opponent for us that once again appears to be playing blue and perhaps white. Let's see. Of course, it can be playing any color, any combination of colors, but well, the choice of those avatars led me to think that this is the case. So here I like having the Tide Drifter on 3, but otherwise we do not have enough mana to sustain the current hand, so I think it's better to draw a new one. So lucky for us, our single copy of Tide Drifter returned after the mulligan. That is quite good. And also Ilamox Reclaimer have shown up, so but against not opposing blue player it might not be too relevant, so let's go ahead and see what happens. So, it will be quite funny if the opponent is trying to do something similar to our deck, but the apparition of a swamp lets me to think that it's not the case. So, well, if this gets to flip, it's going to be problematic. So, horrible. Alright. Okay, what now? Holding, we can play the Tide Drifter or hold the mana to the horrible Ori. Ori. The pronunciation of this word is very mysterious for me. Well, we should take into account that the opponent is going to have counter spells sooner or later, and we have to take our chances by playing the best spells when our opponent is tapped. So I think that maybe we have to drop this while we can. Also, this could prompt the opponent into hastening the transformation of thing in the eyes to the awoken horror that could, if that occurs, could return all our permanents into our hand. So let's hope we get another land so we can have more choices. So currently the only possible play with our mana is to do nothing and keep the horrible Ori in hand. So now we have our second Mist Intruder, and okay, think in the eyes, I'm bigger than you, I'm 05, and I'm giving all my friends a buff. Look at you, you're just, you think you're cool, you think you're... Alright, let's cut the crap. Now we have our second Mist Intruder. We do not have enough mana to pay for the horrible Aura, and suddenly our opponent is playing with white, so that's quite surprising. So I think that we maybe find ourselves fighting against some sort of planeswalker team. So the problem is that we are not finding enough lands and mana to play our 4 drops. So even producing inspiration, I think that actually our opponent is playing a mill deck because there's plenty of indication of drawing cards here, and this is most certainly going to be waiting for the Sphinx tutelage. So we have to take that into account. Not much we can do against enchantments with this deck other than trying to counter them if they come. So here our opponent did play nothing. That's quite interesting. So let's go ahead and first of all I'm going to attack. And I'm quite sure that the opponent is trying to counter our next spell here. So the question is, which of these two is better for our opponent to counter? Because Monarch Strider would be able to bounce back the thing in the eyes. I think that right came the pulse. This is a clear indication of a counter spell. So let's go ahead with this one. Play the counter spell. Yes, I know you have it. It's probably the Bone to Ash, or yes, wow. Yes, this is not pre-recorded, mind you. This is just kind of a logical assumption from the cards our opponent has been playing and the way he's tapping his mana. So the problem here, it appears that our opponent has yet another counter spell on hand that is going to stop us from playing the Mark Strider. So also the Westbale Abbey has appeared. We don't want this to get to transform. So we have one shot at this, and just one, because this is our only copy. So we are going to pass the turn and do nothing. Here our opponent is going to draw. And a 7-8 has suddenly appeared. We have to discard, and which of all of these we should discard? Well, let's drop the adverse condition, because eventually we could get it back with Yulalmog's Reclaimer. Here comes, okay, going to tap this guy, and come on, counter. You can counter this. You want to do it. Counter it. No, he didn't. He did not. So the opponent needs to discard. Maybe he has some madness card there. Well, no, he did not. So let's try to attack this time. Well, Let's try to drop our first Uramox Reclaimer and see if this gets the counter spell. Yes, another Bone Flash. Well, this is the third one that we have spotted in the deck. One it went exiled. I calculated this myself. Two of them already cast, so quite a lot of counter spells. The problem is that unless we start dropping creatures or stuff, the opponent is not going to use them. So here we are going to have to play something into yet another counter spell. Yeah, no, this was a telling time. So maybe the opponent is searching for a counter spell. Alright, and we are going to play a second creature. We need to make our opponent spend all the counter spells. Maybe he has a displacement wave. Inspiration? He's going to mill himself if he keeps doing that. Okay, 3 inspirations, 3 bone lash, 2 telling times, plus with all the things that we have exiled. This is quite... here, what should we do? So let's skip the blocking, so we can still attack our opponent. Another discard. It could be pretty funny if the opponent mills himself. So here we're going to attack. What happens here? Let's see. Maybe a flash creature such as Avacyn? Yes, but you cannot block both. Alright. Mistake. Pretty huge mistake here from my side, because I forgot that we have the horrible Orai in hand. Now we're going to attempt to cast our second Duelamox here, and our opponent is attempting to counter it again. We recover adverse conditions. Yes, we want have this playing in your graveyard. That I hope you enjoy. And another inspiration to draw even more cards. So our opponent is already 21 cards left. So this is kind of... So no, everything costs 5 mana. That's the problem. It was not a misplay from my side. It's just that the cost was too much for the poor horrible Alright. So what now? Let's see. We can start drawing cards for us. Yeah, I think, but that will have to wait a bit. So we are going to tap this. Our opponent maybe counters. Yeah, another counter spell. Yes, and because of that, we are dropping the Prophet of Distortion. And what to do? Well, We can't do much here because if our opponent attacks, we are going to have to block. Uh, our opponent pays 1 life and places a 1/1 white and black human creature token. So, very dire situation here. We're going to need to block. Of course, I think this. Alright. Well, what is the expectative to win this game? Not too high. We are very short on lands, and also our opponent has a handful of counter spells and very huge attackers here and there. So I think we are going to start by placing one very tiny blocker that has little hope of surviving, but there's not much else we can do at this point. So the another counterspell in the form of confirm suspicions that was to be expected, and I'm thinking that from this it's most certainly at least 2 of these 4 cards are also counterspells, so unless we have drawn more lands and our own counterspells, we cannot play our cards. So do we want to use? Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a tapped land. We can drop the horrible array and lose the game. So let's see, let's wait till the end to see if our opponent has anything else under his sleeve. So a very interesting deck that I think that this format will struggle quite a lot against very aggressive vampire decks because these counter spells are very expensive. So the opponent had a flat attack right there. So I like the style of blue plus the other things, but I think that it's too slow. I have my own version of that kind of deck. But at any rate, I had plenty of fun with save games, and I hope that you have enjoyed. So maybe I don't know if the deck is strong, but perhaps it can get against some form of meta. I think that is best against zombies deck because of the all the exile that is happening is going to distort all the zombie intention. So the zombies want to have the graveyard full of cards, and we are exiling. So I think that against this sort of deck, this can be very good. Otherwise, it's just a regular deck that has little possibilities of removing huge creatures, so it has to win the race. But either way, it's quite fun to play. I wouldn't like to be on the other side of an opponent that is trying to exile all of my library because the sensation is quite awful. So I hope that we are visiting the next video, and sayonara.